The focus on the coronavirus pandemic and how our region is responding and rebounding continues on our Insider Public Affairs program. Hello and welcome to the Insider. I'm Lisa Adams. Welcome to our viewers and our listeners on the radio as well. We are continuing with our COVID-19 focused editions of the program, and today it's all about Gannon University, the earliest here in our area to say that they plan to be back on campus this fall. My guest is Dr. Keith Taylor, president of Gannon University. Welcome to the program.
Thanks. Good to be with you.
We'll be talking a lot more about that reopening decision as we move along, but a lot has happened since the two of us last spoke. You were actually my first guest as the nation moved into shutdown mode. So how did that work out for Gannon, the shift to online classes for students and faculty, and did everyone stay safe?
You know, it couldn't have gone better. The faculty and the staff really stepped up, made the transition to alternative delivery, finished out the semester very strong with a focus on student learning and a focus on making sure that the students had the support that they needed. The students really stepped up, did their part in making sure that they stayed focused and they did what they needed to do. And we were blessed that, you know, our community has stayed healthy, and our faculty, staff, and students are staying at home as they've been asked to do and continuing their education in a way that is both productive for them and safe for all of us.
So I know you had to shift student recruiting and admissions to a virtual process as well. COVID-19 had pretty bad timing for high school students making decisions.
Yeah, our process hasn't changed that much in that we still are bringing in really highly qualified, committed, dedicated, focused students that really want to continue their education. And we've been doing virtual events. I've been doing at least one a week with prospective students and deposited students. And the volume of students that are on there, we had over 100 in one of those events of students that are really looking for information, want to know what's next. And our enrollment numbers shockingly look very strong. The last month has been one of the highest numbers of deposits in that 4-week period that we've seen in years. So students are still moving forward. They're still committed. We still have a strong process. And in some ways, it's really given us a better opportunity to walk this process and talk one-on-one with students and their parents than we might have otherwise. So it's been different, but it's been good.
Yeah, that's fascinating, kind of a testament to how people really want things to get back to normal as soon as they can, while at the same time staying safe, I know. And Gannon got involved in the virus fight in a tangible way, something we covered on the news here, making and distributing 6,000 face shields. Talk about how you jumped into this.
You know, I didn't jump in at all, and that's the beauty of it, is that the staff, the faculty, and the students have on their own been looking for opportunities to serve and to be part of the community's rebound. So staff and students stepped forward and realized that we had all kinds of 3D printers and equipment around that could be going to good use. And so they came in, created an entire business model, save for the making any money. So they used their resources, they used their talents and their skills, created 6,000 face shields with the support of LECOM, AHN St. Vincent, and UPMC Hammond, and really did a great job in serving our community with that project, along with faculty looking into our own storerooms and delivering PPE and equipment out to people that needed it. We've had everything offline, but our typical day of caring, that would be where students would go out into the community, still happened on a smaller scale, but through our West Bay front and the work of our staff, still were able to move that forward. And I just think it sends such a powerful message of the model of social responsibility and global citizenship and servant leadership that our students, our faculty, and staff have and show every day. It's been a testament to their will and their initiative.
One of the other big implications of sending students home at the end of this year, all of the end of year honors celebrations had to become virtual as well, including graduation. So how did you navigate degree conferral for the colleges in Erie as well as your Ruskin campus?
You know, again, creative people come up with wonderful ways to celebrate. And so we had a degree conferral ceremony that was about a half an hour video. And then we allowed the students, their parents, their families and the faculty and staff to all give their thanks and their congratulations, and added an hour and a half to that video of their congratulations. So people really stepped forward. We had 10,000 hits on that during the event. I'm seeing videos of Glenn Stearns, who was to be our commencement speaker and who will be in the fall. He chimed in with his good words. And so that event was terrific, as well as a lot of the celebrations that we typically would do at the end of the year, where students and faculty, staff, award ceremonies in Founders Day and in other events still happen virtually. Students still got to celebrate with their family and with our Gannon family. And it really was a terrific experience for all of us.
And you were able to honor ROTC students as well in a little bit different way?
Yeah, they took an interesting approach, and needing to limit the number of people in the room to under 10 was their direction. They brought in people one at a time. Sorry about that. They brought in their cadets and their families in a staggered way throughout the day, and were able to combine a face-to-face with a virtual experience for their cadets to make sure that they got the full effect of what they were looking for.
And you do plan still to have an in-person commencement in the fall come October?
Yes, our plan is to still move forward with commencements in the fall. Again, it may be a different type of approach that we need to take relative to the numbers of people that can be there. But that is our current intent, and if we need to, we'll move into a December commencement that we have every year. So one way or the other, we're going to celebrate with our students and their families.
Well, as we said, Gannon does plan to be in person with students back on campus as early as August. We'll talk about that when we come back. I'm Lisa Adams. Welcome back again to The Insider. My guest today is Dr. Keith Taylor, president of Gannon University. So as we continue our coronavirus focus, we are talking about how Gannon continues to navigate this challenging time. So you stepped out in faith, publicly saying that Gannon plans to be back on campus in the fall. I'm not sure what the date was when you said that, and what were you thinking? I mean, it was weeks before Erie County entered the yellow phase.
Yeah. Well, what we're thinking is that the Gannon community faces these and all of our challenges head on, and we commit to what is possible. So we knew that we could be ready to be up and running in August. It didn't mean that we were going to be allowed to be. It still doesn't mean that we're going to be allowed to be. But working through our communities and our world's challenges in solidarity and with hope, and it's not blind hope. We do it with confidence in each other and what we know that we can accomplish if we do it together. And we do it with sound analysis and with God's grace. So, you know, we go into these with plans, with strategy. We make sure that we can execute on those plans, and we don't control the factors that we don't control. So our students and our community want to be back. We believe that it's the best environment and it's a healthy and safe environment to be here on campus with us. So we've been intensely working on institutional planning, and we were seeing even then signs of hope from our state and our regional leaders and encouragement from our local partners and regional partners that we can all work together to create a safe environment and move forward with a tremendous experience for our students. So as long as we have the planning and the strategy, we execute on that, we're confident that we can do good things.
Science and medicine, of course, both big parts of Gannon University. This has been so challenging because it sets such a moving target. I mean, from early information that this wouldn't really impact younger people, you know, to now some of that data that maybe it does. So As you're navigating that, I understand you have a task force focused on reopening. What are all the voices that are a part of that, and what are all the things that you have to do to think through preparing for having the students back on campus?
Yeah, so we had a task force that helped us close down, and we've got that same group that has now been expanded. So we've got a group that's working on operations, we've got a group that's working on the academic return, and we've got a group that's figuring out the finances and the support for ensuring that we have the personnel and the ability to do what we need to do. So those task forces and community committees are working tirelessly, and we're not doing it alone. So those include faculty and staff and representation across the university, but we're also doing that in partnership with the Erie County Department of Health, with our local healthcare providers, and we're all staying very closely connected to the governor's office and the State Department of Education, as well as our elected officials, in trying to help guide us in using best practices to come back safely.
Well, we have some nice beauty drone shots that we took of the campus in preparation for this interview. You have on and off campus students, many buildings, labs, dorms. I mean, talk about the scope of thinking about virus spread across all of these locations and what you may have to do to change life a little bit there.
Well, the task forces are working on return to work, that our employees need to come back. And they need to come back before the students do, but they need to come back into a safe environment. And some of them will come back face to face, some will stay virtual, depending upon what the needs are and what the opportunities are to reopen. We have a return to school focus on what will classes look like, and then we're looking at the environment and the culture and the practices. So we're looking at facilities maintenance, hygiene, masks, and social distancing for employees and students and visitors and anybody that comes on campus. Been very aggressively developing testing, screening, tracing, and care for, again, faculty, staff, students, with our knowing that we have the ability to do a fair amount of that testing ourselves. We will be having screening in place. We already have some employees that are come back and are working on campus, so we're already testing those screening procedures, and we will build a tracing workforce with staff and students so that should someone be diagnosed and have a positive test, we'll be able to ensure that we can do the tracing and we can then provide the right levels of quarantine or isolation that might be necessary based on the case, who it is and where they are. So we've been working closely with the county's health department, with local hospitals, not only to do our own work, but also offering out that we could provide support to the county in doing tracing and providing staffing for some of that work well beyond the Gannon campus.
Well, when we come back, we're going to talk about how you create confidence for families and students to come back, even if you have this great plan in place. And what about those first-year families? Stay with us. Welcome back again to The Insider. I'm Lisa Adams, and we're talking with Keith Taylor, president of Gannon University, about the university's plans to bring students back on campus. You know, I've been hearing about schools that have a plan A, a plan B, a plan C. You know, Notre Dame just announcing this week that they're going to actually bring students back early so they end the semester at Thanksgiving so they don't have that travel away and then come back to the campus for that last couple of weeks before Christmas break. Are you planning to open on a regular Gannon University schedule? And even if you have that plan that you're confident about as administrators, how do you make sure that the families are confident too? And what are you hearing from those families?
Well, we're hearing and we're seeing positive movement on students enrolling, parents on these video conferences that we're doing. The power of strong planning and operational effectiveness that the university has been built on is what builds confidence. We don't build confidence overnight or just through platitudes. We need to have actions that show that we have strong data, we're using best practices, and we then communicate and over communicate. And we've been trying to be exceedingly transparent, both with our employees as well as with our current students, as well as prospective students, as to what is, will be, and the things that we do and don't control. We've got a COVID-19 website at Gannon.edu that provides information. So for us, we've got multiple options, as you said. We will have some online and some face-to-face, no matter what comes of the fall and into the spring and into 2022 and 23. So we do have plan A's, B's, and C's. Our plan A is we're coming back in August. We may well do some level of condensing of face-to-face lab portions to make sure that we get all of that in, and should we have to do something in Thanksgiving, we can make an adjustment. So in the next probably 2 to 4 weeks, we will have a fully operationalized plan for return of employees, return of students, and how that all is going to play out.
So you talked about the fact that you were having deposits coming in, a good response for the prospective freshmen, the new class. Do you have any idea yet if that class will be as big as you had hoped for or projected this year?
You know, our last 2 years, we had a 20% increase in freshmen. You know, so 3 years ago, just for perspective, 3 years ago, we had 630 freshmen. The last 2 years, we had 762 and 720, so well over 700. The last time we had 700 freshmen was 1983. We're projecting about 630 freshmen this year, and we already have 601 deposits as of yesterday. So we are in good shape for the fall. We are intending to open in August, and we're doing that with all the hope that that's where we're going to be. So, yeah, I mean, our numbers, if we can open up in August, we're in good shape. That's our plan.
Some families across the country, we've seen, in news coverage about, this college and university circumstance coast to coast. Some are talking about taking a gap year or maybe wanting to stay closer to home. I saw how Gannon placed a full-page ad actually marketing to students in our area who may want to stay close to home and transfer into local schools such as Gannon right in their backyard. So we have a little picture of your ad, this idea of the grass being greener closer to home. So what kind of response are you getting from that? Do you think that will yield some transfer students?
You know, I think it's not just transfer students, it's also students that are still making up their mind what they're going to do. And two things. Number one, it's not a new message, it's a new ad, but we think we have a wonderful university, and it is a terrific education that they will get. The Erie region and Gannon are very healthy and very safe, and it's a great place to learn and to be transformed. So it's a message, but it's not really a new message. We always think, why not stay here? Why not stay home? Get a fantastic education, fully engage in the environment here where your well-being will be front and center, and your learning and your calling can be realized. So it is an ad that's out there, but we always have, whether it's believe in the possibilities, whether it's, what that message is, we think that Gannon is a fantastic institution, and students should be considering us, whether there's COVID or not, that it's a great place to get an education, and Erie's a wonderful place to live.
Well, when we come back, we're going to talk about other parts of campus life, that big question, will there be sports? And the what ifs. You touched on this a little bit, but the what if there are cases diagnosed on campus. We'll cover all of that when we come back. Stay with us. Welcome back. It's been all about Gannon University's plans to reopen in the fall. We're talking with President Dr. Keith Taylor about all of that. So the big question, will there be sports and campus life as you know it there at Gannon? We have some video. I know sports is a big part of your campus. So what are you hearing? What kind of data are you getting?
Yeah, I mean, whether we have sports or not will be dictated by where the NCAA goes and where the PSAC, our conference, heads. So we are preparing for all kinds of scenarios, both how do we test and screen and trace and provide care for students in the classroom, the faculty in the classroom, as well as the athletes, whether that's on the field or out on the course or where they might end up. So I don't think there is an answer to that question right now. The NCAA is going through a whole series of scenarios. I do think fall sports, starting right out of the gate, are going to be difficult, particularly contact sports, where it's pretty tough to keep a distance. I wouldn't be surprised if sports like, golf or cross country or things where you can participate in those and still keep your distance, to me would be viable ones to move forward. But when you get into sports like football or wrestling or basketball or some things where maintaining that distance for the athlete will be difficult, the crowds are probably going to need to find a different way of experiencing that. But I'm more concerned about the athletes themselves.
Yeah, talk about the travel piece of that. I mean, even if you did get the okay in some modified fashion, I mean, that's another factor too, if students are traveling to other schools or states and then coming back.
Yeah, I would be shocked if there isn't a modification in schedules, a modification in who's competing and where they're competing. It's not going to be the NCAA as usual. So what the change will be predicated on a whole variety of things. And as you say, travel and, will every school be able to compete in every sport? Probably not. And we're really encouraged by the governor and the approach that we're hearing and seeing, which is allow institutions, allow businesses that can safely follow the guidelines and move forward, allow them to move forward, provide the education and experience that their students and clients deserve. And if it turns out that you're in a part of the state or the country that can't, they'll come out at a different pace. But we're really encouraged by the signs that we're seeing.
Well, we're down to about the last minute here. You have alluded to contact tracing or isolation, if there was a spike on campus, how you might deal with that. And you also talked about the website as a resource for families where they can get information. So we do have your COVID-19 page up here. So are you going to have your own isolation facilities and contact tracers? We just have a few, just a minute here left.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, we have a plan. That plan includes doing, as I said, testing, screening, tracing. We will be managing a lot of that internally, but we have had great conversations with the local hospital systems that are raring and ready to support that, and they are confident we can move forward with that. We have facility plans where we will have rooms, whether those are classrooms or residence halls, that will allow for quarantine or isolation as needed. So all of that is part of our planning. We're going to be ready to go. We're going to be ready to have a safe environment and have our students have a fantastic experience.
Well, I'm sure you have a lot to continue to talk about and work through, and you will keep us abreast of it. Thanks so much for being with us. Thank you at home for being with us as well, and join us again next time for The Insider.